Hello everyone! Today we will be doing our 227 subscriber special. I know it feels like we just did a subscriber special, but that's probably my fault because I'm choosing numbers based on significance with the Pokemon franchise, and of course I could not do a special for 227. As we all know, February 27th is the anniversary of Pokemon. It's called Pokemon Day, pretty much by the community. It is the anniversary of when the very first Pokemon games, Red and Green, were released in Japan. So of course, I had to do something special for this, and I thought what better way to celebrate the game's release anniversary than to rank the main series Pokemon games. I also thought this was pretty fitting to do, since we are just under a month away from Scarlet and Violet's release, so I thought it would be pretty fitting to do this today, here for our subscriber special. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into this. I will just put out one, warning that I will only be ranking the games that I have personally played. I won't be ranking anything that I haven't played because I don't think that's fair to rank a game that I personally have not played. But thankfully I have played most of the main series games. The only ones that I haven't really played are the Generation 1 through 3 games. There's only one of those games that I have played, so I will only be ranking that one. But I just wanted to get that out of the way for why some of these games I won't be ranking. And I guess I'll rank them in the order they're here on this list. And so we see first here is Alpha Sapphire. So I'm going to be grabbing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I'm going to be ranking them both at an A tier. I thought Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were really great games. In general, I really like Hoenn as a region. Hoenn is one of my favorite regions of all times. I really love the Pokemon roster that was introduced in Gen 3. I really like the player characters. May and Brendan. May is probably one of my favorite player characters ever, if not my favorite player character design. I just think she's really well designed. And Brendan is really great too. So I'm going to be ranking those as A tier. I just thought the games were really great. I also really like the changes Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire made from the original games. Like I said, I did not play those original games, but I can of course find information online about them. And I really liked the different redesigns for major characters like Team Magma and Team Aqua. I really liked the inclusion of Mega Evolution from the X and Y games. Of course, all this was Gen 6, and I really like how they added Mega Evolution here. So overall, I just thought that they were really nice games. They really improved upon the world from Ruby and Sapphire, and something I really also liked that they did was they really kind of solidified the whole multiverse theory from the games, which is that essentially the theory that every single game is its own universe, every single version, and honestly every single cartridge, if we're being honest. So I thought that was all really great, so I'm ranking them in a nice hearty A tier. Next on the list we see Black 2. So Black 2 and White 2, I think I'm going to be ranking them at B tier. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of Gen 5 as a whole. I thought Gen 5 and me, we just really don't get along. I didn't really like too much of the roster of the original, the Unova decks. But of course, Black 2 and White 2 allowed us to be able to catch, Pokemon outside of Unova. Black and White did not. And that's one of the reasons why I personally didn't all too much like Black and White. But Black and White 2, I at least like the fact that they improved upon the decks and they allowed us to be able to use the older Pokemon again. I really don't know why they excluded them from the original Black and White in the first place. I thought that was very unnecessary, considering most people I feel will use the new Pokemon anyway. They're going to want to try them out, but even if they don't, I feel like they should just have the choice to use what they want to use. So that's why I really liked Black and White 2. And if you saw from my team video, my White 2 team was pretty much all older Pokemon and my starter Snivy, my superior. So I'm ranking them as B tier. I also preferred just the story of Black 2 and White 2 over Black and White. I also think just doing sequels in general was really interesting. That was the first time they'd done full sequels as opposed to just remakes. And I just liked the new story here with Team Plasma here than I liked the original one. The original Team Plasma story to me was just kind of weird. It kind of was very boring to me, and I know that's going to make a lot of you guys just lose your minds. I know that a lot of people just think that Black and White had the best stories ever. They were just so great. I just did not like those stories. They kind of bored me to tears. I just really did not like Black and White. I thought Ghetsis' plan in the original Black and White was just really, really bad. It was really weird. Whereas Black 2 and White 2, they were just kind of straight up about their evil plans from the start. They weren't lying about liberating Pokemon and all this stuff. So that's why I'm ranking Black 2 and White 2 a bit higher. And you can already imagine Black is next. So I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm ranking them at D tier. I just did not like these games. I kind of just ranted just now about why I don't like them. But they just weren't fun for me. I didn't like the limited decks. I didn't even like the player characters, Hilda and Hilbert. They just probably are my least favorite designs. I just wasn't a fan of them. I just didn't like much about Gen 5 as a whole. But like I said, at the very least with Black 2 and White 2, I thought the plot was more interesting. I liked that they included more for the plot for Team Plasma, the sequels in general, everything about Black 2 and White 2 was a vast improvement over Black and White to me. So yeah, I know it's going to be a pretty controversial take. I know a lot of people just love Black and White, but they weren't for me, and this is my ranking. I'm not going to rank them based on what the community feels. I'm going to rank them based on what I feel. So they're going to be D tier for me. I did not play the original Blue, so I won't be ranking that, nor did I play Crystal, so I won't be ranking that. But I did play Diamond and Pearl. If you guys remember my team's video, Diamond and Pearl were the very first games that I ever played Pearl, especially was my version. And I'm going to admit that I'm pretty biased, so I'm putting them in A tier. I just really liked Sinnoh as a region. I liked Lucas and Dawn as player characters. Everything about Sinnoh as a region I just really enjoyed. I liked a lot of the myths, a lot of the legends. It was just really enjoyable for me, so I'm ranking them at A tier. I unfortunately cannot rank them at S tier in good faith, because I think we all know the biggest issue of Diamond and Pearl was how super slow they were. To this day, I have no clue why Diamond and Pearl were just so slow. The HP bar was slow, surfing was slow, movement in general, everything about these games was very slow, and I just can't rank them any higher than A for that reason. And thankfully they improved that in Platinum, so you can already probably guess where Platinum's going to go. But for right now, just ranking Diamond and Pearl, I really like them, I really enjoyed them. I'm of course very biased because of nostalgia. Diamond and Pearl was my region, those were my first games, so I love them very much. I did end up playing Emerald thanks to my sister, who ended up buying Emerald. We kind of skipped over Ruby and Sapphire, but she bought Emerald. I didn't have that. I instead got Fire Red, but she got Emerald, so I had the opportunity to play that thanks to her, and I really enjoyed Emerald. I really like Hoenn as a region. Like I said, I mentioned all that with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I liked May and Brennan as characters. I really like the story and the plot, so I think I'm going to be ranking Emerald up here at S tier. I thought that was just a really great game. I really enjoyed it. I really love, like I said, the Hoenn Dex. A lot of the Pokemon they introduced there is just so great. I remember when I played Emerald, it was so hard for me to even make a team because I just loved so many of the Pokemon they introduced. So Emerald is going up at the top at S tier. Fire Red, on the other hand, I think it was okay. For me personally, I know Kanto was the region that started it all, but I'm not too crazy about most of the Kanto games. I think they were just okay. I wouldn't say that they were really great, but I also wouldn't say that they're terrible. I didn't hate them or anything. Oops, grabbed the wrong game. Sorry, Red, I didn't play you, so I'm just going to put you right here by Blue. I meant to grab Fire Red, and I meant to grab Leaf Green. Here, I'm putting them at B tier because, like I said, I don't dislike Kanto, but I don't particularly super like Kanto. So they're just okay to me. Fire Red and Leaf Green, they were just okay, decent games, so I'm putting them at B tier. Like I said, Gold I didn't play, but I did play Heart Gold. And now, I know this is going to be pretty controversial because I know a lot of people think that Heart Gold and Soul Silver were just the best remakes ever, just some of the best games. I personally can't really judge Heart Gold and Soul Silver as remakes because, like I said already, I did not play the original game, so I can't judge them as remakes. But even from what I've heard, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, again, like I said, from what I've heard and from what I've researched, looking at gameplay, they really didn't improve upon many of the issues from the original games. One of the biggest issues being the leveling. There was a really weird level cap with making it really hard to just level up in the games. They just made a lot of the gym leaders at the end and the Elite Four have really low levels, so it's very hard to level up and grind. But not only that, but there was a big issue with the fact that a lot of the JoJo Pokemon are kind of overlooked in the JoJo region. They focus a lot on Kanto. Even before you get to the Kanto region, the Dex is full of Kanto Pokemon. A lot of the new Johto Pokemon you can't even catch until after you beat the game. I think a few of these things were fixed, and they moved some of the encounters in these games, but overall, I don't think they fixed too much, so I don't know. For me, I don't think Heart Gold and Soul Silver should be considered really that great. I mean, if you like them, you like them. I'm not saying you can't like them. I'm just saying for me personally, I don't see what Heart Gold and Soul Silver really fixed as remakes. I feel like they could have fixed way more. Fixing the rosters of the gym leaders and major characters, giving them more Johto Pokemon, I feel would have been really great. But since that wasn't really done, and honestly, to me in general, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were just kind of okay as games, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to be ranking them at B tier. I thought they were okay games. I thought they were great to play. They were really fun, but for me personally, Johto in general to me, I didn't really enjoy it because, like I said, I feel like it just relied way too much on Kanto. Johto didn't even get a new evil team that just threw Team Rocket in there with a very weird plan of trying to call Giovanni. It was just very strange. So sorry guys, for me ranking the whole Johto experience, I just can't really rank them really high. I thought it was way too over-reliant on Kanto. Like I said, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were good. They just weren't great for me. So that's where I'm going to be putting them. Let's go Pikachu and Eevee. I know a lot of people don't like these games. I know a lot of people think that they kind of really dumbed down the games. They kind of took out things like abilities and health items to try to make it more, close to the original yellow version. But I don't know, and I also kind of incorporated, of course, the games, the Let's Go, Pokemon Go, and they changed the catching style, which a lot of people didn't like. I didn't really mind that all too much. I thought Let's Go were okay games. I really liked the Partner Pikachu and Eevee aspect, especially. I thought that was really, really cute and enjoyable. So for me personally, I don't know. I thought they were okay games. I might rank them. I think I'll rank them at B tier. I think they were okay. I wouldn't say that they were amazing, but they weren't bad either. Like I said, Kanto for me, I'm not just the biggest fan of Kanto. It's okay as a region, but I just think later regions were much better, which is understandable. Kanto was the first region. Of course, Kanto won't be the best because it was their first. They're going to make improvements as time goes on. But I'm just going to rank them in B tier. I think they were okay. Moon. I am putting Sun and Moon up at the top. S tier games. I loved Sun and Moon. I'm telling you guys right now, Alola is one of my favorite regions ever. I enjoyed those games so much. I loved the plot. I thought Team Skull was really funny. Your boy Guzma was a great character. Hau, Lily, I love them both so much. Everything about the games were great. I love how they finally shook up the main story by not having gyms here, and they created their own unique challenge, their own unique cultural thing for Alola. I just love the culture of Alola. It's all just so great. It really feels like a brand new experience, and I love Sun and Moon for that reason. So I'm putting them at S tier. I love characters like Lusamine, the Aether Foundation. All that stuff was really great. The Ultra Beast, all that. I just really liked it. So I'm putting Sun and Moon at S tier. I'm also going to be putting Platinum at S tier because basically everything I liked about Pearl and Diamond, Platinum just fixed. They just made everything much better. They made everything faster. Thankfully, we did not have that issue with everything being so slow. So for that reason alone, I'm putting Platinum at the top. But I think a lot of people will rank Platinum at the top. I think I've heard from so many people say that Platinum is probably one of the best games. So I have no issue putting it at S tier as well. We're going to be skipping over Ruby and Sapphire because, like I said, I did not play those games. Same with Silver, I'll be skipping that. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I'm also giving an S tier ranking because, as I just said, I really loved Alola. I loved just everything about these games, the different changes and shakeups to the series. And I thought Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were okay too. I know a lot of people were mad that they were just kind of basic remakes and not sequels, but I don't know. I thought they were okay. I'm not sure how I could pick between which I like more because they both, like I said, most of the plots were pretty similar, but they did have a few different changes, especially with Lusamine's plot. But I wouldn't say, I don't know how I could pick and choose which I like more. I like them both. I don't know if I could pick between them, so I'm just going to rank them all at S tier. X and Y. Sorry, but X and Y, you're going to have to be going at B tier. I didn't hate X and Y as much as a lot of people who I see hate X and Y, because I think the biggest issue with X and Y was that they were just really easy. This is the game where they changed up the EXP share, where everyone gains EXP together and through captures. EXP is just shared among the entire party, which is good for, getting rid of the issue of grinding, but I still think it made the games just a bit too easy, and I think a lot of people can agree on that. I'm not sure what was the reason for that, why they just made the game super easy, but I'm ranking those there for that reason. I didn't think it was too terrible, especially because you could turn it off here, but I don't know, I think X and Y's games were kind of just there. I think a lot of people also feel like they didn't do as much with Kalos as they could have, especially with Zygarde being kind of neglected and there being no Z version. Kalos kind of just felt kind of ignored, which is kind of a shame because I thought the Kalos region was pretty interesting. I liked how they included things here like adding customization for the very first time. They did a lot of great things here, but sadly they just also were kind of short with a lot of things they could have done. So I'm going to be putting them at B for being decent games, but not the best. And now, let's look at Sword and Shield, probably the most controversial games in recent years, mainly because of the whole National Dex thing. I will tell you guys right now that I wasn't too bothered by the National Dex, and I know that kind of sounds crazy because I kind of put Black and White at D tier because I didn't like how they cut out a lot of the Pokemon, but at the very least, I can say with Sword and Shield, at least they didn't limit us to just the new Galar Pokemon. I really liked a lot of the Galar Pokemon in general, but at least they didn't make it so we could only use those. They did cut out a lot of the decks. They didn't give us a national dex, but they at least allowed us to be able to use more Pokemon than just the new ones. It wasn't the same for me. I don't rank these being the same issue. I know some people will say that this is a worse issue because they're taking out a bunch of Pokemon that we feel that they could have put in, but overall, the national dex issue didn't bother me, so I'm not going to really be worrying about that all too much with my ranking. I'm putting Sword and Shield at S tier. I'm not even joking. I'm putting them at S tier because, for me personally, these games did something that I personally wanted for a very, very long time, and that was to make the gym challenge important. For years, I had taken a bit of an issue with the fact that the gym challenge just kind of felt like it was there just to be there because it was tradition that they put it in the original games, so it's like we just had to have gyms. But honestly, as the years went on, it felt like the gyms just existed, that they had no in-game importance. And I mean, like, the characters. Like, aside from me and my rivals, it's like no one really cared about the gym challenge, which to me just kind of bothered me. I feel like the gym challenge should have been given more importance. And finally, in Sword and Shield, they gave it that importance. The gym challenge is its own sport, with gym leaders being like professional athletes. Everyone wears their own uniforms. Throughout the entire game, we are constantly hearing updates about which challengers are making it further and further, who's participating, who's dropping out, who's not making it any further than a certain gym. The entire story just revolves around the gym challenge, and that is something I had wanted for years. So this is a very, very biased pick for me, but I have no shame with that. I'm telling you guys right now that Sword and Shield to me are S tier games. I know a lot of people have issue with, you know, the Rose plot. I think that's the biggest issue people have, that the Rose plot was really pushed off until the very end, to the point that it really just feels like they neglected it the entire game. I will admit that. I will admit right now that the Rose plot should have been incorporated throughout the games much, much better. They should have had Rose talking about this whole energy crisis throughout the entire games. I am telling you guys right now, I agree with that. I agree with those sentiments. However, I'm still ranking them at S tier because for me, they did what I wanted to see with the gym challenge. So for me, that is enough for me to put it at S tier. That is my ranking, and I have no shame in doing that. I can admit that they should have done more with the whole issue with Rose and the energy crisis. They should have done that way, way more in the games, in the main story plot. They shouldn't have just had it be Leon and Sonia pushing us to the side, even though I personally think that is in character for Leon to do that. But I can agree that there should have been more to it. But that doesn't change my ranking. I'm still putting it there. I really liked everything about Sword and Shield with the gym challenge, with Hop as a rival. I really just love Hop. I think Hop is one of the best rivals ever. He's easily my second favorite next to Barry. In general, I just really like that. I liked his little arc with his whole needing to become more confident, especially with the issues with Bede beating him in battle constantly. I enjoyed all that. I enjoyed a lot of the gym leaders. I enjoyed the roster of the new Galar Pokemon. I think that they're some of the best designed Pokemon in recent years, especially the Scorbunny line, Cinderace. That's something else they did. They finally added a pure Fire-type starter line. I've been waiting for years for another pure Fire-type starter line after Cyndaquil, and finally they did that here. So overall, a lot of the things I've been wanting for years happened in Sword and Shield, so that is why I am personally ranking them at S tier. I have no shame doing that. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, probably everyone, but I'm putting those here. This is my ranking, and that's where I'm putting them. But with that, that is pretty much where I'm going to be ending this ranking. Like I said, I didn't play any of the other games down there, so I won't be ranking them since I didn't play them. But this is my tier list. I know it'll probably be the only tier list you ever see looking like this, so at least I will be unique in this area. Once again, thank you guys for 227 subscribers on this channel. We are getting very, very close to Scarlet and Violet's release, and I'm very excited to play those games here on this channel and see where I will be ranking those games here on this list. So that is going to be all for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you!